are on. Okay. Another Tuesday, another face, another career. Thank you so much, Tshego, for joining us tonight. I'm excited to talk to you and to find out what your career is all about. You can just say hello to the viewers.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Thandi. Thank you for inviting me over. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. And yeah.
Awesome stuff. So the one question I normally ask everyone is, how can you describe yourself without mentioning what you do as a career or for a living?
Okay. Yeah. So how I can describe myself. So I'm a very outspoken person. I'm an extrovert. I enjoy outdoors. I enjoy time with the family. I'm a father, two girls and a husband. And yeah, I'm a family man as well. As outgoing, I'm into music, I'm into food, and I'm into fitness as well.
Interesting. Thank you very much. I want us to touch on the food part because I know that there's something there, but we'll get to it. Can you briefly then tell us what it is that you do as your career?
I'm a geologist by profession. So geology is basically the study of the earth and all its belongings. So from underground going down to the core mantle of the earth. And I'm a geologist. I study the earth, but right now I practice geology more into technology. So I work as a customer success manager for an international software company where I help other geologists study the earth further to achieve any outcome, whether they're trying to mine for minerals or they're trying to build or preserve the environment. So anything that has to do with the earth, I help them with the software that will help them understand that earth better.
Okay. Can you break that down a little bit further? The part about the software, what is it about? How did it come about? Why and how are you involved in it?
Yes, so I work for a company called Sequent. It's a technology company that was started in New Zealand. And the software that they sell or produced, it's called Leapfrog. And it came about from the medical industry, actually. So during about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, they were looking at how people were doing a facial reconstruction in surgical procedures. And there was a technology they were applying to map out the face of a person. If, let's say, the person lost the nose and they need to reconstruct that nose. So that software, they then applied it in mining and were thinking alongside, if we have information from this part of the earth and that part of the earth, how do we then reconstruct that information to make something that makes sense? And that's how the software came about. And yeah, I've been with them for 3 years now. And it's an exciting company because it's global. So you learn a lot. Your colleagues are all over the world. And yeah, it's quite fascinating.
Okay. I'm curious about how you made the cross from, like, the shift from geology to what exactly do you do? Like, okay, are you a software engineer? What
No,
exactly?
I'm a salesperson, so I sell software. Yes, so I'm in the sales team, and how I made the transition, actually, it's interesting. So my first job, I was a geologist, exploration geologist, And I signed my contract on 14 February 2014. I remember like it was yesterday because it was Valentine's.
Yeah.
And then I signed my contract, and then on Monday, I then waited outside my mother's house, and a buggy came to collect me so that we can go to Zimbabwe for 3 months. So that's how my first job rolled. I was
Sure.
out there with my bag, headed off to Zimbabwe, spent time there looking at lithium mine, that one of the biggest lithium mines in Africa. And I was mapping. So mapping meaning you're going into the bush, you're taking samples, you recording what you see, and then you collect all that information and put it in a software like Google Maps, where you connect the dots and say, here at this location, just like you send someone a pin and say, hey, come collect me here. So you'd collect the dots and say, here at this pin, I saw this type of rock, and this is the rock I'm looking for, and this is how it goes. And you'd create this visual representation of what is out in the field for further studies and further exploration. And you're looking to basically mine that lithium, right? So you're looking to create this map that will then be mined soon as time goes. So I was doing that for a while. I was in Zimbabwe. I came back. I spent time in Northwest at a mine in the Northwest near Rustenburg for like 2 years. So you would go for long, eh? You'd
Sure.
go for 2 months, 6 months, sometimes 2 years. And I was lucky because I never signed a lease. I never rented anything. So I was just living there for free and enjoying my time. And it helped a lot because then I would come home and then have some money saved up, because I wasn't getting paid much, but luckily it wasn't spent on anything because you're in the middle of nowhere. And I traveled, I did that. What changed for me was when I found myself, I was in Witbank, and I was working in the bush, the logging core, which basically is like rock that's been pulled out of the ground, similar to how they drill for water. They'll be making a hole in the ground to get the water down there. But instead, for exploration, we drill like that, but we pull out a rock that will tell us underground what are the different rock types. So I was busy doing that. And I was thinking, you know what, it's cold, it's July, it's my birthday, and I'm here in the middle of nowhere. It's not middle of nowhere because it's Witbank, but I was like, I'm feeling cold. I should be doing something meaningful on my birthday, you know? And it pushed me to work on my side hustle, which was food at the time. And I worked on this food business, and I left my job in geology to do food. And I was doing food from October 2017 until around May 2018.
Sure.
I was selling food all over Gauteng. So I was doing Brownson's Market in Midrand, Locret Market in Soweto, Maboneng Market on Main. I was doing 012 Market in Pretoria. So I was like, and I had a shop in downtown Joburg. So I was like all over, doing all of that. Did Afro punk, and I made money, but it was at a pay. I was too tired. My relationship with my wife fell apart.
Oh gosh.
And
Oh gosh.
after that,
She was not your wife at the moment.
No, we got engaged during this whole fiasco.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so it was marriage counseling, in short. Because we fought a lot. It was all about the business and survival. So the business was doing well, but then I wasn't a leader. So I was very aggressive and wanted to grow fast. I wasn't like taking my time, like when I was doing it as a side hustle. So because I needed the money, right, to pay the bills. But fast forward, I then moved. I left. I moved out of my apartment in town. I closed the shop, gave away all the equipment, and moved back home to restart. This was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in depression. It was very dark. Like I was like, oh no, I'm a loser. I lost everything. And I was like, it changed for me when I actually called the lifeline, these people who cancel you.
Mm-hmm.
And I called them and spoke to them. And the lady's like, no, you know what? You have a house. Your mother's there to feed you. You're not lost. Don't compare yourself to your friends who are in their careers. Don't feel regret. You have a place where you stay and there's a bed for you. It's warm. And from there on, I started now, you know, starting to think about what I actually want. And I looked for jobs, and I actually would go into companies and give them my CV and knock door to door and tell them, hey, I want to do this. And I got this job for like a month where I was doing some work for them, geology work. And then one day they're like to me, you know what? We don't have any job. We don't have anything for you. But I drove from Pretoria to go to Joburg for this job. And I'm there, I'm wearing my clothes. I'm like, no, I came to work. I'm not going back home. I went on LinkedIn. I searched the first job. I wrote geologist. And then the first job that appeared, I called the person and told them, hey, I saw you looking for a geologist. I'm coming. I'm on my way to talk about this job. And he's like, okay, I'll be there. I'll be free in 10 minutes, in 30 minutes. Okay, send me your CV in the meantime.
Yeah.
I go into McDonald's there by Cresta, connect quickly my laptop, send the CV. I get to that place. This guy is like, no, I've got your CV 3 times already. I haven't called you because I saw that you're busy with your food thing. I don't want you to have 2 businesses and do my job. And I'm like, no, don't worry, I left that. I spoke to him, asking him questions like, when I start, what will I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was like taken aback, and I was so determined. I left that interview that I had forced out of him and went back home. And he called me back to say I didn't get the job.
Oh no.
And and I was like to him, okay. And then I asked him why. And he paused. He's like, why? And then I'm like, yeah, why? Because I qualify. And he's like, he made up some excuse, like, oh, you didn't have this type of experience. He went and spoke to his people. I think it's his partners or whoever in the business, and they told him to hire me. And he called me after 30 minutes to say, no, you got the job.
Oh wow.
And after that, it was a job in sales. So I wanted to go into business, but still stay with geology. So I was selling geological software and geological equipment. So I wanted to feed my business drive and also stay within the lane of my geology background.
Sure. Okay. You've said quite a lot, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to disturb you, because I can see that I would have disrupted probably this beautiful story that you were saying to us. But I just want to take you back a bit, so that you can just tell us a little bit about how you decided you wanted to study geology. When was that, and what brought that on?
Yeah, so it actually started off in high school. I was very interested in geography. I was really good at geography. And I remember I was the top student in grade 11 for geography in my year. And in grade 12, I was going to be the top student, but I started teaching others geography after school. And one of my students became the top student.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, at least. So I really loved the earth and finding out how it works. And I wrote a letter. I remember it's the time when you had to write a letter. And I wrote a letter to the Society of Geology, the Geological Society of South Africa, asking them about. In high school, yes, I wrote them a letter and posted it, sent it to the post office. And they came back and they sent me back like a package full of like information about the sciences and the geology field. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And since then, I never looked back. I studied geology at the University of Johannesburg at UJ.
Mhm.
And yeah, I enjoyed it because I would always learn something new every day. So no 2 days were the same. And even today, there's still a lot that I still don't know, that I'm still learning. So, which is fascinating.
Okay. Um, and this is just for the interest of those who want to study the degree. How many years is it, and what subjects should you have at school, in high school, that is, for you to qualify to do this?
So you can either do a BSc, Bachelor of Science, or a BTech in geology. You need pure maths because it's a science degree or a diploma, and you also need physical science. You also need yeah, I think those are the main ones. So my subjects in high school were physical science, life science, which is biology, pure maths, and yeah, I did Setswana and geography and English. But yeah, you just need to be in the sciences. If you don't have those qualifications, there's always a way to upgrade or to do short courses at university to get you to qualify for the sciences. And once you get to university, the first year is usually a mixture of subjects, geology, introduction, and also some physics, some chemistry, some maths as well.
You do chemistry and all of that when you're studying geology.
Yes,
How
yes.
does
So
it?
I'll explain why.
Yes.
So geology has different sub studies. So geology is wide. It's just geology, meaning geo means the earth, because the earth is shaped in a sphere that's called a geoid. So geology means the study of this geoid, which is the earth. Then there's sub studies within geology. So there's geochemistry, which is the study of the chemical elements within the rocks. So if you think about a rock is actually a combination of different elements that make up the solid structure. So within those elements, there'll be chemical components with it. So if you're a geochemist, you're concerned about those chemical compositions, whether it's, for example, you are mining iron ore, you are looking for iron
Yeah.
in that rock, right? If you're mining iron ore as well, iron ore has other physical properties. So there's also a subset called geophysics, which looks at the physical properties. So it's physics, but for geologists. And this one would look at iron ore as your target, but it would look at the magnetic susceptibility or the magnetism of that iron ore, because we know iron is magnetic. So if you're looking at geophysics, you'd be wanting to understand how magnetic is this body of rock.
Right.
And there's other ones as well. So it continues going. There's economic geology, mining geology, environmental geology, engineering geology.
Sure.
It keeps going. So you can specialize in any field once you do your basic degree.
Right. So the degree you did was a BSc.
Was geology and geography, BSc.
Okay.
And then I did a general geology honors. So I specialized in just general geology. And because I was at UJ, so at UJ they do a lot of field trips. So to get into my first job, I was actually using something I have here. You use a compass like this. This is a compass. So to navigate in the bush, you need something like this, and you take measurements of the rocks to say, okay, these rocks are facing north, they're facing that way, and then you understand the field. So I was in exploration. My first job was exploration geologist. So exploration, you explore. You go into real Africa.
So I'm guessing you've done quite a lot of walking in your life.
Yes, you climb mountains. You go into places where there's snakes, there's things that can bite you, but you pray to God that you don't interact with them in a wrong way. It's their environment.
All right. So, okay, fine. You're saying a person needs pure maths, they need physics, they need you said physics or physical science? Is it physical
Yeah,
science?
physical science. Yeah, physical science and pure maths.
And,
It's been
and
a while, but
geography, I'm
yeah,
guessing.
geography you don't need it, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, you don't need it to do geology. They look at physical. There were people in geology who never did geography, who did like accounting or something. So
And
they're
they
looking at physical science because it's a BSc. They look at physical science and pure maths and life science, I think.
and they thrived, these people.
They
They
thrived, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
so one thing about university, it's completely opposite to high school.
Yeah.
If you were good in a subject, in high school, I was very brilliant in maths. I got, I think, a distinction in my maths,
Mhm.
80 something. When I got to university, my first semester, I failed maths. It's a different level, you know. So it's a totally different environment.
Okay. What would you say was fun about learning the when you were still at school? What was exciting about studying geology?
I think I said it previously, so you learn something new. So our very first module was cosmology, which is the study of the universe and stars and how the earth formed. So it challenges a lot of biblical knowledge that we were taught, but it pushes your mind um, beyond time to say, okay, the theories are saying there's a Big Bang, and then 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth amalgamated and became solid, and then the first rocks formed in the Archean, and all of this information, you're like, what? You know, all of it is new, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very inquisitive. I love learning new things. I don't like repetitive um, uh, work. So I always like a new challenge, and that's what actually kept me going and kept me locked into the study.
Okay. You mentioned something, I guess maybe that's a bit interesting for me. Do you think that geology, the study of, yeah, can conflict with one's Christian beliefs, I guess?
So I think if you it depends on the person who holds the belief. So if you come in with an open mind, you can understand that okay, everything happens for a reason, right?
True.
And what I learned while I studied my science degrees is that Einstein believed in God.
Hmm.
So scientists actually believe in God, and that's something that's not popular. Not many people know this. That scientists actually understand that there's a higher power because they understand how rare it would be for the Earth to exist. So
Okay.
when you look at how intricate the conditions on Earth are and the probability of that actually taking place, you realize that, oh, wait, there must be someone or some higher power above looking at this and and actually tweaking the conditions to make life occur.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I realized that you know what, there's clearly some higher power controlling this. This is not random, you know.
Okay. Um, I like I like your answer because I guess it's a very delicate balance between finding um, finding a way to make the two work for you. And I would imagine that being in that space where you are being told the world is 1 billion years old, and when you look at the Bible, it's a completely different story. It can be a bit challenging. What can you what can you tell me that that can blow my mind about geology or about our Earth that we do not know about, or an average person doesn't know about?
I think I think I mentioned a bit of it. So the 4.6 billion years old rocks, they're actually found here in between Swaziland and Mpumalanga. So part of the oldest rocks on Earth are found here where we are, and um, the the civilization. So how we were also taught is that the geological time scale,
Mm-hmm.
it starts in the billions of years, right, and
Yeah.
goes all the way to now. And if you take your hand like
Yeah.
this is the time scale, and where civilization came is only this tip of your finger
Sure.
by your nail.
Sure. Okay. Um, so
And all of this, let me just also finalize. All of this has been dated using machines that are able to tell you how old something is. So the guys who study fossils, paleontologists, um, and the people who study old human discoveries like your Homo naledi's and all of that,
yeah.
they take that information and put it through this what they call dating. So they date back based on those materials. They date back and tell you how old this is.
Okay. So how then, like, what kind of um tools do you use to actually determine how something old, how old something is?
Yes. So there's different dating methods. One that I can remember, they look at radioactive material. So they will take an item, put it through a machine, and then look at how those particles decay. So there's in atoms and in isotopes, but I don't want to go too deep. But basically, the material within that substance, there'll be a way that it actually decays. So they will deteriorate that material and measure how it decays, and that rate of decay will basically tell you back how old it is. So it's called carbon dating. There's also different types of dating using isotope geochemistry. So they'll put materials in this machine, and then that machine will decay that material and look at this. There's certain isotopes that the half-life of that isotope. So how it dies, that's already pre-known. So they'll compare that to whatever material and tell you, okay, this died at this rate, meaning this is this old. So it's quite complex, even for me, to understand at this stage because I last studied that long ago. But I will bring you someone else who would be happy to come on the platform to explain this. A friend of mine who won the National Geographic Explorers Award in the US recently. He's
Oh,
a lecturer. Yeah, and he studies the fossils at cradle of humankind, Homo naledi, and all of that. It's part of
interesting.
his research. Yeah, I'll bring him on. I'll bring him on next.
Please get us in
Yeah.
touch. Get us in touch with him. That would be interesting actually to look into. Would you would you say that this is a career that you would advise any high schooler right now to follow?
Um, yeah, Yes, and because there is actually globally there is a shortage of geoscientists. Um,
Really?
yes, in South Africa there isn't. So in South Africa, actually, there's a lot of geologists and geoscientists coming online, but from a global perspective, there's a shortage. So I will send you some information on some tools that we are using now in our company that we are sharing with young, interested geologists to learn what geology is about, and you can share with your people. Basically, there is a shortage, and the world where it's going now, um, and where it needs new geology deposits to be unearthed so that civilization can have the technology, the AI, the electricity, and the energy, the green transition energy that everyone wants. But all of that starts with the rocks, because that's where all civilization begins. Civilization, we won't be able to talk now if it wasn't for geology, because the material in our laptops had to be mined somewhere in the DRC, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa as well. So mining is very important to civilization, and yeah, there is a need. So if people want to do geology, I would suggest they do it, but have an open mind, not just be rigid to current circumstances. Don't just look at the job market and say, I want to get a job, or I just want a comfortable job, because things just change all the time.
Okay. So when you say an open mind, give me an example of what that could look like.
I'll give you an example with myself. So when we started looking at studying geology, it was around 2008, when the job market in South Africa, companies were paying top dollar for geologists, because it was during the boom of the commodity markets in South Africa. Mines were hiring left, right, and center. Geologists were seen as these people who have a lot of money, driving all the fancy cars, And we started studying, and we were so inspired. And 2008 in America, something interesting happened. There was a financial market crash where the housing market collapsed, and that rippled into global markets now coming to South Africa later on in around 2010, 2011, 2012, when we had job cuts in the mining sector. We had Marikana happen. All of that now, when we got into the job market, it was now a different landscape. So we had to pivot. We wouldn't be getting the same safe jobs and safe, secure paycheck that others were getting. So in my class, I had students who had bursaries, but the companies were saying, no, we can't give you a job. We paid for your studies. Go figure it out. Some of us, I didn't have a bursary, but I was lucky enough to get a government subsidy in my honors. It was fully paid, provided I pass. Thanks to the government of the time, not to become political, but we had, it was different. So what I got lucky. I got into exploration, and exploration usually takes you out of the country.
Yeah.
Because right now, even currently, a lot of new projects that are coming on board are outside of the country. So if someone wants to get into geology, they must be open-minded to go live on a camp in Zambia, DRC, Gabon. They mustn't be scared of going into West Africa. I was in Liberia for almost 3-4 months. No internet, no phone service. Living in a place where there was no running water, no electricity. It's challenging, right? But it's life-changing, because you come back and you appreciate a lot, and you realize that, hey, South Africa, we are blessed.
Talking about living in other countries such as that, and where you find yourself possibly not be in touch with the rest of the world. How do you balance your life as a father, as a husband, and as a son, I guess, with your
Yeah,
mom?
so luckily at the time I didn't have a family. I just had a girlfriend and and parents. But it's tough, you know. And I know people who are doing this right now as well, going into these countries. You go in, you do your work, you come home. There are satellite phones, so you can connect. If you have a satellite phone with you, you can connect. I remember I walked about 10 kilometers in the jungle to get to a town where there was a like a double-story structure.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the double-story structure, you take a little cell phone. It shouldn't be a smartphone. It must be a old phone. And you
Okay.
put it on that structure for like 2 hours. You put it straight there on that pole,
Yeah.
and then you wait. You call. You try call. And one bar will appear. When one bar appears, you call. And I called my girlfriend, and then the bar after the bar after the bar appeared, and then I got excited, removed the phone.
Oh man, you lost the connection.
Yeah, and I had to wait there again. So it's those type of things, like you realize, oh, you can call when you're on top of a mountain. You can call, but again, you connect. That's why it's advisable to do it when you don't have a family. When you're still young, you learn a lot, right? You learn also humility. You can't just go into a village and start taking samples or doing this. You have to talk to the chief, and the chief will feed you some food that they feed people who come and visit, and you must eat that food. Doesn't matter if it's spicy or what. That's part of the ritual.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah, this is quite fascinating. I love traveling. So I just want to know which country um took the most out of you, and which country did you enjoy the most?
I think all of them. But Liberia was like the life changer for me because while I was there, I remember I was reading a book as well on entrepreneurship, the whole trip. And I finished that book and I came back and I went guns blazing in my food business. It was life changing because I saw how the people there were living.
Yeah.
And if I kept thinking, if I took one of them with me to South Africa, how would they behave? If I took one of the guys in the village who was there was one guy who was building the first zinc roof in the village for his father.
Mm.
And he allowed us to stay it was like a mud house, but it had a zinc roof. They hadn't yet put the mud holes, so it was just a frame, and we were camping in that frame.
Yeah.
And we had our tents inside. And this guy, I kept thinking, he has to go get those, he has to make enough money in that village where there's nothing and get a buggy that will take zinc somewhere and bring it there and then he built that house himself. And I kept thinking, if this guy was in Joburg now, how would he behave? He wouldn't sleep.
Mm.
He would actually change his trajectory in like a short period of time because
Yeah.
he's used to that lack and that adversity, you know.
Yeah. Sure. That is, I guess, is always a humbling situation when you can see that there's a lot that we as South Africans have, and we take it for granted until such a time as when we are kind of thrown in those spaces and there is a reflection. Um, which country do you find to be beautiful? Did you enjoy the food? And I know that probably the reason why you ended up going back to your food to do your food truck was because you were tired of traveling. But I'm sure there are some there are some
Yeah.
more memories of some of the places that you've been to.
No, I think the beef in Botswana is the best.
The
The beef
beef.
in yeah, the
Oh,
beef. Botswana has the best beef. Like In Gaborone there's a place called Push and Bull.
Yeah.
Like they serve a 1 kg steak, like T-bone and a steak. There's also a place in Botswana in the east called Tautona,
Mm-hmm.
and they have lions on the farm.
Yeah.
They serve like big burgers, you know. But I enjoyed the food everywhere, and I would eat the food even when I was in Liberia. I would eat. I ate the bushmeat there, and I got a runny tummy in the morning. But luckily, it was just in the morning because that bushmeat, the bush thing was put in the front of a Land Cruiser while we were driving. They put it in the Land Cruiser in the engine. And then when you got there, they took it out. It didn't smell so good, but
Oh
you must
God.
eat.
When
And
hunger
yeah,
is there, you have no choice.
yeah. And it's part of the experience, right? And I won't lie, the toilets in Liberia were bad,
Ish.
especially in the villages, because they didn't have any plumbing. So it's like a long drop,
Yeah.
but the drop is not long. So yeah, you can imagine.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine. Talking a bit about some of the rocks that are mined, can you tell us a bit about how rich Africa actually is? Maybe you can start with South Africa and then go into the other African
Yeah.
countries.
So South Africa actually used to be the #1 gold mining country in the world.
Yeah.
With the gold mines here in Johannesburg that were discovered in the 1800s. We are now, I think, #3 or #4 in Africa. Ghana, Mali, and Burkina are at the top for gold. So there is still gold in South Africa, but the gold is too deep to start mining profitably. The mines that are currently running right now, they're all on, they're running at fumes, even though the gold price is $3,900 an ounce. And to give you, an ounce is like a teaspoon. It's
What?
like a teaspoon. $3,900, probably $4,000 by now, an ounce, a teaspoon. So that's over 70, 80,000 rand a teaspoon. That's gold price right now. And these mines obviously will mine tons of gold, right? But then our current mining industry is struggling, to be honest with you. And
Why?
this is just because of the cost of operating in South Africa. So our mines are getting deeper, and our cost of operating, cost of electricity is very high. We've seen, major mines, some of them closed down, but it's still a big mining jurisdiction. We have the biggest deposits of platinum
It's
group
in the night.
metals. So it's platinum. Yeah, that's the one in Rustenburg.
It's what it supplies. I think it's 90% for the world, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes. So yeah, we have the biggest in the world. I would say it's about 60% of the world reserves. But remember, we have the biggest one, and then there's many others.
Okay.
There's others, and there's other deposits. Zimbabwe also has platinum group metals.
Mhm.
China, all these other countries.
Mhm.
We have also iron ore, very large amounts, and manganese and
Okay.
chrome as well. We're ranking at the top. Then coal as well. We have one of the biggest coal fields, although very much explored, but it's still there. We are a big coal producer.
So can
we-
can I come in there and just hang on to your thought? I just want to divert you a bit. So why is it that we are having this ESCOM situation if we have so much coal then?
yeah, I think the ESCOM situation now is solved. Believe it or not,
You
it's
think?
actually solved.
Okay.
Yes, I saw an announcement that ESCOM is now profitable after I don't know how many years of not being profitable.
Okay.
So they've turned it around. The new Minister of Electricity apparently has turned it around. But what we had a challenge with the power stations. They were not maintained. And also the facilities where the coal is stored. So remember when it rained and they say, the coal is wet.
Yes,
It's
yes.
because they would just put the coal outside in jail. There was no proper facilities to make sure that when the coal comes from the mines, it's actually properly kept and stored. And a lot of the contracts, there was a lot of mshiga back when load shedding actually hit. It was because there was mismanagement in the country. But again, I cannot
Yeah,
talk
no,
because
no,
I'm not there.
it's okay.
um,
I just wanted to politicize you a bit there, but you can go back. You were saying you were saying we have
yeah,
coal,
so
we have
yeah, we
coal,
have
yeah.
coal, chrome, and many others. So we actually we have lithium, we have copper in the Northern Cape. There's also zinc and lead. There's quite a lot of mines all over the country, and our mining industry is one of the largest. Although our country actually in terms of the GDP, we do a lot of big business. So we have a lot of big business, retail, telecommunications. So mining plays a role, but it's not the main source of our GDP. Then when you look outside of South Africa, so Botswana, for example, is known for its diamonds. Of course, we also have diamonds in South Africa. We have diamonds on the coast as well. So we have alluvial diamonds, which were washed down and are in the coast. They are offshore. Some of them are onshore by the beach.
Really?
So yeah, so we do have diamonds in South Africa on the west coast.
So,
And
so can I just, if I find it, can I just pick it up and it's mine?
so those ones are all gone. They've already been
Oh,
found. Yeah, so you need to what you need to apply like serious operation to actually get these diamonds and dredge them out of the seabed. So there are companies that are dredging diamonds out of the seabed using these vessels, and they go into the seabed and they actually scrape the bed and then process that and then sort it and find diamonds. But then yeah, so I've been to Botswana. Botswana is it's one of the leading diamond nations in the world as well. Although diamonds are not doing well, so millennials and Gen Zers don't propose with diamonds. It's only maybe your generation.
wow. It's quite interesting. Do you think that the value will probably go even further down because of that?
Yeah, it's one of those. So there are people still holding on to diamonds. Like there's a few, I'd say maybe there's like 2-3% of the mining community who are still interested in diamonds, but the demand. So there's also synthetic diamonds
Okay.
in the cup that came into play,
Mm.
and these are also rocking the market, right? Because they're made in the lab and they resemble the same properties of visually as the diamond that came out of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have those in the market, you have the Gen Zers who are actually more interested in taking a trip to Bali or a trip to Dubai instead of buying a diamond. So it's like, yeah, it's a challenging one. I think, yeah, I think we are in for maybe a surprise. Maybe something will happen on that space where marketing wise they can start convincing us diamonds are forever again.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Sure. Okay. So when it comes to some of the things that you've made, some of the mining properties that we have in South Africa, can you just give us for us laymen people, can you just tell us Where is chrome used, for example? Why is it mined and why is it important? Platinum, where is it used? Why is it important? All of those things.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So chrome is used in steel making. So it's part of the alloys. So ferroalloys. So chrome is this dark material. It's dark, but it's also shiny at the same time. And it's used when you're making it gets mixed with aluminum, iron ore, and to make steel. So in all our steel material in industry. So most of our resources, we mine them, we then either process them further to increase their concentration, and then we ship them over to industries like in Asia or so, where they will actually manufacture steel and use that chrome and steel for construction, for example, or for any other industry. Same with iron ore, same use. It's mostly steel. Platinum, they use it in car engines, so combustion engines. You'll remember when the whole rise of the electric vehicle came, the platinum price started going down because people were like, oh, we're not going to need combustion engines anymore. But it's not realistic because we don't have enough market share or like available people in the market to actually roll out electric vehicles. Even in Africa, how are you going to drive from Joburg to Cape Town on an electric vehicle? You know, there's no way to charge it
Yeah.
on the. So yeah, so that's where platinum is used mostly. Gold mostly is used to store wealth. So gold will be mined and stored by banks, reserves, and people who have high net worths can invest in gold and then store it in times of economic turmoil or any uncertainty. They can then protect their assets with gold storage. That's why we've seen gold go up from last year, 2 years ago, gold was under $1,800. Now it's over $3,000. So it's because of that turmoil that's happening all over the world.
Have you ever worked in a mining set?
Yes, so I worked underground for a few months and I didn't like it.
What didn't you like about it?
I worked as a geotechnical technician, so I was responsible for making sure that the underground conditions are safe.
Yes.
So if a rock falls, it would be my fault, and then it would be my boss's fault and his boss's fault. So I would come in and assess the underground condition, and then if something was shaky, I would then mark in my report that no, this area needs to be closed, and then I would recommend what they would need to do for that area to be safe again. And I work shifts 6 days a week, and I lost so much weight. I was like, and I couldn't. No, because it's hard work. It's labor. You go underground. It's hot. It gets very hot underground. You walk a lot, and it's not level. It's very like it's like hiking, but going down, and there's so many risks, right? So I would say goodbye to like my woman before I go, and like, hey, see you on the other side. And then leave my phone on surface and then go, because there's no network under there. You go, when you get there, there were vehicles, there were rigs. So the vehicles are there to transport people. The rigs are there to drill into the holes, to make holes for explosives. So they will drill into the holes underground into the wall face, and then they will make explosives. And then when you all leave at the end of the shift, they would blast.
Yeah.
Then after they blast, they would then come and clean up that blast, and then someone has to put in support to make sure that the rocks don't fall. So yeah, it was very tricky. There was a lot of dust and smoke.
Mm.
Yeah, and I would say if it's not for the faint-hearted, but it taught me a lot. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned how to think in 3D, you know,
In?
in 3D, 3 dimensions,
Okay.
three-dimensional thinking. So you go in, you have
Yeah.
to consider everything, right?
Yes.
You're in this hole, but you have to consider what's actually happening on the sides, what's happening at the top. And you have to look at that rock and say, okay, this is what we want to mine. This is how much width it is. Or where did it go? Did it go down? Did it go up? Did it slant? Is there a fault, which is like a change in elevation for this rock that we're looking for? And it was quite interesting. You learn a lot. I would suggest anyone who's doing geology to go work underground and experience it. And as a geologist, it's not as brutal as what I experienced. So if I came in there as a geologist, I would still be working underground.
Okay.
As a geologist, you go in once or twice a week, or 3 times sometimes, and most of your work you do on a computer. You're looking at, and also it's a higher level job than what I was doing. I was like, I went down. My rank went down there during that time.
So, okay, I want to know. Okay, I think I have an idea, right, of what happens underground. But for maybe someone who might be hearing this for the first time, when you mentioned that there are cars underground, just give us an idea of what a well-run mine looks like, because I know that it's it's much bigger than what TV actually shows us, and because we always just see people digging here, but it's far
Hazamas.
bigger than that. Yes.
Yeah. So mining. So there's 2 types of mines. There's underground mines and open pit mines.
Okay.
So we can start with the open pit. So when we're looking for our geological ore body, we will see it. We will see it as from surface. We'll try to figure out how deep it is, right? And we'll
Mhm.
see it as a target and say that's our target. We want to hit that.
Yeah.
So we will drill, like explained. You drill
Mhm.
from the surface, and then you understand how deep this intersection that you're looking for is. Then if it's not too deep, if it's a bit shallow, you can then say, okay, here, your mine engineers. So there's also a field called mine engineering. The mine engineers will plan and say, okay, we don't need to go underground. We can extract this from surface and build it going down, but not too deep. So then they'll start blasting and creating benches and then extracting that ore body. That's an open pit. You can hear when they say the big hole in Kimberley. That is
Yeah.
an open pit. So you'll see the pipe, the kimberlite pipe that's sitting there. They would have blasted it, and then they would have made a hole. And
Okay.
let's say that pipe then continues going down, but now it's no longer feasible to blast it and make a hole. Then they would start going down and create an underground mine.
Okay.
So underground mines start going, I'd say
What,
from
wait, maybe before you go, what would make it not feasible to keep
so
digging there?
so if it gets to a point where you can't actually get to the ore body, you can't actually get to your target.
Okay.
You maybe can't. It'll be maybe too expensive to go blast it there and then drive up your dump trucks. Once they've loaded the dump truck,
Yeah.
it has to drive up to the plant, right? Where
Yeah.
they'll put the stockpile there or to the stockpile, and then that stockpile gets moved to the plant to get processed. So
Yes.
if the engineers will then calculate that, okay, here, this is the level that will end our open pit from. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll say, okay, anything below here will need to go underground. So you'd get a mine, like for example, the Cullinan mine as well. They did the open pit, and then they realized even the other mines, like in Botswana, the diamond mines, they realized, okay, we need to now go underground. So they would start planning underground and then start doing what they call for the four diamond mines that do like a mining method called block caving, where they actually create cavities and then blast into those cavities so that the material goes down the hole, and then they take it out underground. So a well-run mine, I would say, is one where there's safety. So safety is the most important aspect when it comes to mining, because how mines were run back then and how they are now, there's so many ESG rules now, and also safety, health and safety check, safety, health and safety, and ensuring that people are coming home safe. So a well-run mine will have those safety measures. It will have vehicles that have tracking or human sensing abilities to sense, oh, there's a human there. There's some mines that are autonomous, so where they have trucks that are self-driving, where someone is sitting in a control room controlling the trucks going in and out. There's also mines where someone's sitting in a control room and drilling underground and controlling. There's mines where drones are going underground to actually map the phase and then come out, and then that information then gets studied by the geologists and the engineers. So there's different types out there. But yeah, mining itself is quite interesting, and it's something that has lost its luster in the public domain because people now think, oh, mining is bad, right? There's so much money out there that's promoting. There's so many people that have been funded to promote the environment. Yet those people forget that we need mining in order for us to curb global warming and to change the energy transition into a much greener energy environment. So we actually do need mining, responsible mining, of course, to achieve our zero emissions and our future goal, where we'll have solar panels, we'll have wind farms, and all that material needs to be mined.
Okay. I'm actually quite curious about how you, as a geologist, are able to tell that mining this way is not safe, mining this way is safe, and all of that. How do you do that?
Yeah, so it comes to the software that I was telling you we provide to geologists. This software, what it uses data that's collected, and the data is then it's then used to calculate scenarios and probabilities, and statistically calculating, okay, this is the most probable environment to mine based on the grade. Grade meaning percentage of mineral or material, percentage of metal in that environment. So we'll say, okay, this is a high grade place. So now we have high grade, we have low grade, and then we have the market. We have people sitting wherever in the stock markets or in the trade industry who are looking at buying commodities, and those people will put a price out to say, okay, this material we wanted at $1,000 a ton. And when we look at our deposit, we then have to figure out how are we going to make it economic, or how economic is it to meet the market conditions that are out there. We don't actually make anything happen. Again, that's why I said God is there, because it's God's decision where what is. Whether there's gold or not, it's not our decision. We just go there and calculate. So once you calculate that, you're like, okay, that area here is where we want to hit. The mining engineers have to then plan out to say, okay, based on the rock structure, so how dangerous it is, or what are the properties of this rock for us to actually blast it and it will move at this pace and to allow us to get to this rock. So this rock is waste, this rock is ore. How do we
Yeah.
get to the ore in the most safe and most economic way? So that's the question the engineer will answer. The geologist's role is to make sure that they can predict the grade that will be in that rock based on the samples that would have taken to the lab, and they will also have to tell us the quantity and the direction where this rock is going to go that we want. So it's like it's a constant exchange of information in different disciplines. There's also the geotech engineer who makes sure that that rock, the qualities in terms of the rock strength and the rock physical properties are understood. So that when we do go underground, the rock doesn't just fall on us. We are able to actually keep it up in the roof and make sure that people can walk under there. And the geologist will make sure that we are actually mining the correct thing. The engineer will make sure we're mining the right quantities and the right method.
Sure. Okay.
And the surveyor will measure all of that. The surveyor will measure all of that to tell you, okay, this is how far we are. This is where we are. These are the coordinates.
Sure. Okay. I'm developing more questions the more you speak, because I'm curious to know, how are you able to tell that we can still mine for another 10 years here? Because I've heard such things said. How are you able?
Life of mine.
Yes.
So a life of mine, they'll look at, remember, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll look for something to show you now.
Okay.
So a life of mine, they look at data, right? So when you're exploring, we are drilling these holes with a spacing. Let's say we have a farm of about 1 kilometer long, so 1 kilometer by kilometer. And then we're busy drilling in 100-meter spacings. We are drilling, and we have this grid where we've drilled. And then from those drill holes, we create the model. And in that model, then we send that model. We then, after we do the model, we then estimate on the model to say, okay, we're estimating this much is happening here in terms of grade and size and distribution of the mineral. And once we've done the estimation, we give that estimation to the mine planner. The mine planner then runs a whole feasibility study to say, okay, this mine, if we mine at this rate, so let's say we're mining 100 tons a month, but we said here there's 1 million tons. So for us to get to finish this whole resource at 1 million tons, it will take us 10, 15, 20 years. So that's how they would actually look at it. They would schedule to say, every month we must hit this amount of output, and that will deplete our resources by this much and our reserves by this much. And by this time, we'll be done. We would have depleted the whole thing. So that's how they would determine how long it takes.
Have they ever been wrong, though? Like, is there
Yes.
South Africa? Yeah.
Yeah, they will be wrong. Everything changes. So remember, as they calculate, the market goes up and down. The prices change. There are mines that were abandoned back in the day that have been reopened now.
Yeah.
Even in Johannesburg, there are mines that were like, oh no, this is too low. There are tailings. So mine dumps. You see these mine dumps all over Soweto.
Yeah.
There are mine dumps being mined right now, which were waste back in the day because of the gold price. So as the market moves, as everything, there's so many factors that are keep moving, right?
Yeah.
Things become economic, some things become uneconomic.
Sure. Okay. I have questions from our YouTubers. They are asking, does SA have the capacity to process its produce, or does it sell raw material to other countries such as Europe and then buy back finished products?
We don't have that capacity, and those those developments are being made across the continent. So, for example, in South Africa, we have iron ore, right? We have chrome as well. That's been shipped. It's been shipped as raw material, most of it out, and then imported back as finished product. So you can imagine that's a deficit because you're selling something for this much, and then we buy it back for that much for a higher price. So there's an opportunity there for us in South Africa to upgrade our ore or to even beneficiate all the way to the product. But obviously that will need a lot of capital to build. And we've seen in countries like Zambia, they are bringing in laws where they don't want to export copper cathodes anymore. So copper cathodes are these sheets of copper. So Zambia actually mines the copper and then processes it into these sheets that then get exported. Now they want to actually keep processing it further to actually produce proper materials instead of just low value produce.
Okay. I have more questions, but let me there's another question. It says, is the Earth really a globe, or have we been lied to? This is a safe space. You can tell us the truth. We won't tell anyone.
Okay, I know the flat earthers. The flat earthers.
Yeah.
So the question I have for someone who actually is questioning whether the Earth is a globe or not, it's, I think if you look at the beach, if you're on the beach, you can see the curve of the Earth. You don't have to question that. And you know, the flat earthers say that if you get to the edge of the Earth, you'll fall off. But no one has ever fallen off of the Earth that I know. We've had people go to Antarctica, to go to the Arctic Circle. No one falls off. But how I know, not know, but how I've learned how the Earth works is based on, again, I mentioned the compass. It's based on understanding the compass and then understanding bearing. So bearing meaning direction. So if, for example, you're in the bush, you don't know where to go, you need to triangulate, or you need to find yourself. You need to use north and be like, okay, where is north? And all of that, it's actually calculated. It's a degree. So all these degrees. That's why when you get to the equator, they'll tell you the equator is it's actually 90 degrees from the Earth's Arctic. So it's like a 90-degree angle. That's the equator. And then every latitude, longitude, and latitude is at a certain degree. So all those degrees are actually telling you the Earth's shape. So your GPS code, your GPS, your Google Maps is actually telling you that the Earth is not flat, because it's using this method of 23 degrees south, 31 degrees west of the, of the Greenwich Meridian. All of that, it's all telling you something.
Okay. Can I have a mine if I wanted to in South Africa?
Yeah, you can have a mine. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah, you can have a mine. You can have a mine if you wanted to, but it will cost you an arm and a leg to actually develop your own mine. But you can always get investors who will believe in you. In the first beginning stages of a mine, there is actually no assurance that whatever you are looking for will come to pass as an economic producing mine. I think they recently stated that 1 out of 30 exploration projects that are like proper projects, 1 out of 30 actually become a mine. And I think that was recently. So this year,
yeah.
Let me Let me remove this topography. So this here is like what I was explaining, an open pit. This is like an open pit.
Yeah.
They would have mined through here to get down there. And then this is what I was also explaining, that once they get to a certain elevation below the Earth's surface, then it's now they're unable to continue doing open pit, because now it also gets geotechnically difficult. Geotechnically meaning the rocks might start falling in, so it becomes a bit unsafe. And the
Okay.
distance it will take to go from down here all the way up there becomes uneconomic for the trucks. Because remember, the truck, after it collects the ore, it has to drive all these benches back up to surface.
Okay.
So then, so then they'll start looking at going underground. So here you're looking at like a block model. So this is like a block model that they have already. Let me remove this. Where is it? Yeah, let me remove this. So this is what you'd give your engineer. This is at the end stage. And each of these little pieces, it's like a mimecast. Each of these pieces will tell you how much grade there is. So you remember you're asking me, how do they actually determine
How much?
how uh, yes, how much they're gonna mine and how long. So these little blocks have been estimated, and the red is your high grade, the orange it's still high grade, but it's not as high, but the blue is low grade. So you
Okay.
then be able to, let's see, what's that? Yeah, let me remove that. You'd then be able to come in and create your mine plan based on that. What I was talking about earlier, let me remove everything.
How deep is that? How deep is that in terms of kilometers? If it's
Uh, it,
kilometers or
it's,
meters.
it's, yeah, it's about, that look like about 300, 400 meters. So here's elevation here. About 800 meters is at the bottom of these holes. So if we put a topography here, you'll see. So what I was explaining here. So here, when you're starting,
Mm.
you
You
you don't
drill.
have much information. You have to drill. Yeah. So this is like the surface where the rig would be coming here, and then it would drill down, and these drill holes would look like this underground. And
Mm.
they would drill them, and the geologist would then have to log these holes. So when you're logging the holes, let me show you. Uh, let me show you. When you're logging the holes, you're basically taking. It's fine. It's not working. You're basically taking measurements. Let me just come here so that it's visual. You're taking measurements from here to there. You tell us what rock it is. Here to there, you tell us what rock.
Mm.
Let me see if I can put geology instead. Geology are here. Come on, draw holes and codes. Yeah, so you tell us from here to here what rock it is, from here to here. So each of the rocks will have a different color,
Yeah.
and then you create from those different rocks, you create the geological model. What is the geological model? Let's see. Let me do this. Okay. You create the geological model. So this is a model that was created on one of the rock types, which is the vein system.
Mm-hmm.
So this vein system, that's what they're thinking has the gold that they're looking for. So once you create this vein system, you then want to then understand the estimation. The estimation meaning it's your statistics, where you estimate and you say, you guess, basically, but using maths, right? You're not
Yeah.
just guessing from your head, because this information is taken to the stock exchange, where in the stock exchange they will need to approve whether or not they would need to approve. Someone would audit whether or not you made a right call, because people will then fund your project based on the results that you get. And each block would tell you in the block model what samples were used. You're able to look at the samples and the grade of that sample.
Sure, it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot. It takes time. It takes 10 years minimum for you to start from scratch, for you to start from here,
Mm-hmm.
from here. Oops, it's a lot there. For you to start from drilling all the way to that block model where you are able to start mining.
10 years, you say?
Yeah, it can take you 10 to 15. In South Africa, even 20 years.
So, so people who have mines, there are many, many steps, I'm guessing, that they have to go through for them to eventually start mining.
Yes, yes. So this is an underground mine. It's showing you mine cavities. So you can see them coming in here from surface. We put the topography so that you can see. Yeah, you see. So they would come here from surface and then they'll start developing. So when you start building your mine, you do this development ends. You blast, basically creating a tunnel. Think of the how train. It's a
Yeah.
tunnel. And then once you get here, you start creating, they made a spiral, some sort of spiral, and then channels, and then they're mining, they're mining, they're mining, they're mining. And as they mine, the material gets taken up with conveyor belts to surface.
Hmm. And these
And
are usually how wide these.
so it can be, there are narrow stopes, so they're called stopes, these things. So there are narrow ones where you have to crawl. In the gold mines, you have to crawl with your knee guards and you go down, and it's very narrow because it's a vein, and then they can be like a meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, and sometimes as big as a room or a hall, depending on how big your ore body is. So here, where's that thing that I was showing you now? Block models here. Here we're looking at right this thing, which is a vein. We're looking at a vein. So when they mine it, they would let's see how they mine this. Yeah, it would be very thin. So they would come in and sometimes mine it either going down, but you see what they did here. They were coming in these channels and then mining where they can and then moving out and then coming in another level mining, come out, level mining. So yeah, it depends.
It's quite interesting. I'm quite fascinated by what you're showing me. And like many other weeks, when I'm talking to other professionals, I'm quite fascinated by how your careers are intricate, and I hope I'm not the only one who's this excited to talk to you. But yeah, we have to end our conversation at some point because we've been talking now for almost an hour and a half. Doesn't feel like it, but yeah, unfortunately, we have to end it somewhere. Maybe before you go, can you tell us, in terms of salaries, what what are we looking at? Is it a good space for someone who wants to live a comfortable life?
Yeah, so it depends on what you do. So the entry-level jobs, when I started all those years ago, I think my first job I got like 7,500 or something. It does nothing.
Yeah.
But I got experience. It was an internship,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in on projects, so I was living for free.
Yeah.
And that obviously allowed me to have some sense of freedom to actually come in. When I come to Joburg, I would book hotels
Yes.
just for the weekend, and just
Yes.
I would
Mreki.
have savings. I didn't have children, so I'd have savings.
Yeah.
And but on a more serious note, when you're looking at mining jobs, so the mine geologists, they they earn very well. They can earn over 100,000 a month easily.
Oh.
When the mining company is doing well, and the economy is doing well for that mine in terms of the market and all of that, they get bonuses. Mining geologists get bonuses. They can get weekly bonus. They get bonuses on tons. They get bonuses on safety. It's a very good paying job to be in the mines. There's also geologists who are in academics. So the academics phase, you would need to go up the ranks. So you would need to go into like being a professor to get paid well. You would also need to publish a lot. So you can get paid from publishing. You can get paid from consulting. I wanted to share my screen also. There's consulting fees that you can actually charge that are gazetted in the government. And let me do this. You'll see it now. And you can, what's going on?
I'm not sure.
Can you see? Let me stop sharing. So yeah, there are the highest paid geologists are those who are in the mines or who are at executive positions. So you can end up becoming executive vice president of geosciences. But one thing I want to highlight when it comes to payments and money is that you'll only get paid according to your level of personal development and your level of impact in the organization. So I didn't understand this when I was starting. So I thought I was gonna get paid well, but then I wouldn't. Let me come here. Yeah, can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't develop myself. I wouldn't study. I wouldn't understand what I'm doing from a business perspective. So the geologists who are able to make it are the ones who are able to pivot and learn business management and do their MBAs and understand corporate structure and strategy. And then they're able to then, around the boardroom, they're able to then command a presence and add value on the business.
Okay.
So here, this is on the internet. So you can see these are scientists' rates. So there's different categories of scientists, and in respect to private consulting. So once you become a consultant and you are at the top of your game and you are internationally and nationally recognized, and you have some level of specialization and you are regarded as an expert, you can charge 3,000 Rand an hour for your work. And projects can go up to 6 months. So you can calculate that it's quite a lot of money. But you would need to bring a level of expertise and a level of knowledge and insight that that person cannot find.
That money. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're starting out, I mean, contemplated in categories A, B, and C, it's 1,000, 1,500 an hour you can charge.
It's still a lot. It's still a lot. If it's still there. And I always ask this question as well. In terms of AI and the 4IR, what are your thoughts and feelings around that?
Yeah, so the reason why I chose to go into technology was because I wanted to make sure that I'm no longer needed physically. My body is not my business. So I made sure that, look, I didn't want to be um, like myself, the asset. I wanted my mind to do the work. So technology enables that. So I pivoted my career to go into technology sales because I wanted to be part of the future. I didn't want to be left behind doing what I was doing back in the day. And that was very evident in COVID. I never lost my job. I had some challenges, of course, but it wasn't dire because I had already been in the space. So I was able to connect on Teams, connect online, deliver my work. So AI and technology has given us the opportunity to actually scale our thoughts. So you are able to then go run an idea quickly on AI and then come back and deliver something great to your people. But make sure that it's your ideas. You don't use AI as a crutch. Our company has developed some machine learning tools that we've launched now to the market. Our space where we are operating, there's a lot of technology, new AI, machine learning, things that predict certain things, but it always needs someone to check based on the fundamentals. So understanding the fundamentals helps the geologist to actually make the right decisions, see what the AI model has done, and then revert to basics based on what they know from the field, because you can't replace the person and their experience. So that's the beauty of it.
Okay. So I like I said, I'm still developing questions, and I've honestly enjoyed how generous you've been in this conversation. Thank you so much for taking your time and spending it with us. I've learned a lot, and I'm quite curious about geology. It wasn't anything I was really interested in before this, but you've really made me interested in finding out more about this space, and I hope you'll be happy to answer more questions, because I'll probably just keep asking questions. The other thing I wanted to ask, I know you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that you do have some opportunities for young people who might be interested in this space, and you're going to share that. But I just wanted to check with you. Are you open to mentoring, helping others maybe to find their way if they're in the space or interested in?
Yes. You can find me on LinkedIn, Tshego Majane. Yeah, I am happy to help anyone who's interested, answer any questions. There is a platform, I'll send you the link after this, where you can go and learn how to navigate geology. It's called visiblegeology.com. And you're able to then go in there and create a model, see what a model does, and then they use it in classrooms around the world to teach geology now to students, so that they can understand how it actually works in 3D thinking.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, it's a big thing to think in 3D.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, even just for me who's not in a classroom. But yes, I would really love to see that. Thank you very much for your time. Like I said, I could go on, but I have to end it at some point.
Thank you so much. Yeah, your family needs you.
Yes, yours too. I'm sure they've been told they need to keep the noise levels down. So we probably need to reduce them. So thank you very much for.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I really, really appreciate it. And thank you to our viewers on YouTube for the questions you asked, and just being our constant people. We really, really appreciate it. I know that last week I said we were going to have a CA coming through this week, but I'm glad that we instead had Tshego coming through Next week, we do have someone coming through in the psychology space, and I look forward to seeing you again. Cheers then, and good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tshego.
Sharp.
For sure. Please thank, I've stopped the live, so this is just.
All right. Did you record it as well?